Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. One away from 50 episodes. This is our 49th episode. I've been doing this show for over a year now, which it's crazy, how much progress I've made and how much I've done. And this is a guy who I've had on my show. I had him on Hard Chargers, but I didn't get to interview him. I always intended to when his book launched, and wouldn't you know it, his book has launched. So I'm going to bring him in, but first I want to talk about myself for a second. Let's talk about not just me, but what I'm creating. So if you see under my name, RebelOasisStudios.com. Well, what is that? Well, I am so glad you asked. How you doing, Doug209? Hope you're doing well. And I hope you're on this mailing list. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to Rebel Oasis Studios, or if you click that link that is in the description or in the chat right now, you will be able to find this right here. Phenomenova, ladies and gentlemen. This is my comic book that I've been working on for a very long time. Came with the idea when I was a kid, that whole story. But more importantly, it is both Billy Tucci and Irene Strakowski approved. And my editor likes it. Well, he better, because that's his job. So Phenomenova is set 20 years after World War III and follows the adventures of this teenage boy who is struck by lightning while holding this mysterious crystal, and he finds himself awakening with lightning powers and super speed. And now, being the son of a veteran and someone who grew up idolizing the superheroes that fought during the war, which you can get a glimpse of right here, he decides he wants to take those values, those heroic values, and bring them into a new age, donning a makeshift costume and the name Galvanite. He springs into action. So if this sounds interesting to you at all, make sure to sign up. There's also an art contest for all you artists out there. So there's plenty of art on this page if you want to scour that. You just got to make sure you draw the main character. You can draw other characters too, as long as you draw the main one. And here's our first variant cover. There will be others, so keep a lookout for that. You can also stay updated when you go to all the socials, everything can be found at this link. Everything you'll need. Also, make sure to sub to my channel. All that. There's even a trailer, which we can go ahead and watch later. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, enough about me. Get that link in the chat. Ken, if you want to put it in your chat, the link. Let me pop that link over to you so you don't have an excuse not to shill me as I promote you. Anyway, sign up for Phenomenova. It's going to be 64 pages of stories, 68 pages total, and I can't wait. And it's going to be the first of many. And speaking of teenage superheroes, this guy is doing one of the most interesting superhero ideas I think I've ever heard. Ken, how you doing?
What's up, Vaughn? How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Living the dream. Well, not yet, but I'm working towards living the dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we all are.
Yeah, creating dreams. So speaking of, obviously I want to talk about your book. It looks great. But I always like to get to know the person first, the person who's making it. That's the point of these interviews, right? We can promote and shill, but let's get to know you. So you are a comic book artist and writer, correct?
Yeah, I do both.
How did you, but before we start doing that, how did you first get into comics and creating in general?
Man, I was probably like, I don't know. I was in grade school when I fell in love with, actually even before grade school, I was in love with like Scooby-Doo. And then later on, I got into stuff like Naruto and anime. And I just, that's when I realized that those cartoons, they started off as comics first, and that's what spurred me to really try to make a living at this, because I knew if I could make a comic book, then it could grow into something bigger.
Oh yeah, no, a man after my own heart. I'm the same. I envisioned mine as a superhero movies. Actually, I got into it through the movies and the animated shows, and then I worked my way back to the comics, which I think seems to be an increasingly common thing. Now, I mean, you could argue it was a thing before, but generally speaking, I find I hear a lot of people say that they picked up comics at the grocery store. Now it's not as much like that. Now it's like I found comics because I sought them out, because I heard about the characters, or through another medium,
Right. Yeah, it seems to be that way now.
So you got into comics through manga, it sounds like, more than Western stuff, right?
Yeah, Yeah, definitely manga was my touch point. It was my way of getting into it. And then I didn't get into like mainstream like Marvel DC comics until high school.
When was high school for you? How old are you? Am I allowed to ask that?
Yeah, man. I'm 27 now.
27. Oh, so we're not that far apart.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I started reading comics when I was in middle school. So we probably started reading around. Did you start reading around the New 52 era?
Yeah, that might have been it cuz there was a lot of like Flashpoint coming out, Batman
Oh yeah.
with the Court of Owls.
See, I didn't. All right, a funny story. I was talking about this on a show. I made a big mistake not getting into New 52 Batman because I read one issue that was like Mr. Freeze and they ruined Mr. Freeze. And I just assumed that was all the New 52 was like that. Apparently, it was one of the greatest runs in the character's history. And because I read one bad issue, I was like, this sucks. Done.
Right.
Missed out. But yeah, I remember that being new. I have my Flashpoint. I was going to get it signed by Jeff Johns, but there was just so much there.
Nice.
I only got instead I got this, and this dude, I had something on my back. I got this signed by Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Look here. I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signatures in here.
Nice.
I love getting the omnibuses signed. Don't like carrying them, but you know, it is nice. Good to see you guys, Ken. You demand, bro. Everyone back. Oh, what's up, Smart? Smart. What is it? Smart.
Oh yeah. That's my
I've
buddy.
seen him in a
That's
lot.
my buddy Shane.
Oh, what's up, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him in a lot of chats, I think. How you doing? Better be sub to mine. But no, so that's really cool. So you got into it through the manga, and it shows in your style. But you're now doing superhero stuff. So did you find when it came to approaching superhero stuff, like which do you think influenced you more? Was it a fusion?
When it came to superhero stuff, I was always into cartoons like Spider-Man or Static Shock. Um,
Oh,
characters
which
that would just
Spider-Man? 90s? Are we talking 90s or are we talking spectacular?
we're talking 90s, and then later I was more into Spectacular, but 90s was
Spectacular,
what
I think,
I
is better written, personally.
90s is what I grew up on because
Same.
it also reflected a lot more of the earlier comics where it was just action, action, action. Um, but yeah, that's what got me into comics to begin with. Like I started reading Ultimate Spider-Man at the death of Ultimate Spider-Man, and then I got into Miles Morales as a character and started going back to read other Spider-Man stories and all that kind of stuff. But I've always been attracted to those type of characters because I've seen I saw Spider-Man in well, I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it on TV, and that's what
Sam
like
Raimi's.
yeah, Sam Raimi's. That
So
was
good.
the
So
one
good.
that got me into it.
Big influence. I think it's like the perfect origin story, man. It's so everyone says 2 is better. And I don't know if I feel like I watched 2 the least of the 3 actually growing up.
Uh,
Not to say I didn't like 2, but I think it's better than 3, obviously. I do. But like I have more nostalgia for 3. I don't know. But I do think 1 is my favorite.
yeah,
I just think the origin story is so perfect. I love the Green Goblin. I think it's great
yeah,
how the fact that they have all that origin and still there's so many fights between Green Goblin and Spider-Man, despite the shorter runtime. I do kind of miss. It's weird when it was weird how like when I was a kid, I would come up with stories and have like one villain at a time. Then as I got older, I'd start cramming in a bunch, and it's kind of like what the studios are doing. It's like they used to be show more restraint,
uh-huh.
and now they're like, we got to put like 50 villains in this, and it's like none of them shine.
Yeah, it's like I think they're really running away with the multiverse concept,
Oh, I'm so
and
sick
that's
of
what's
multiverse.
making them want to put as much as they can into every movie, but it's ruining the story behind them.
Oh my god, the multiverse! It's so like just give me one universe to care about. If I care about you in one universe, that's fine. I don't need 50,000. I don't need everything to be canon. I don't need it just gets frustrating. Even with the even though I'm liking it so far, I've been playing it on my channel. The new Final Fantasy looks like it's doing some alternate timeline multiverse stuff. Now, mind you, this is a game that's notoriously got a complicated story. It
Hmm.
already has like, I don't even know if I want to spoil it, but like some unreliable narrator stuff, cloning, ancient aliens, ancient races, the spiritual stuff, and now they're having like time travel in the alternate universe. I'm like, stop! Like,
Yeah.
there's only so much I could take. You know?
Yeah, I wish I got into the Final Fantasy stories, but I never played any of the games, but they
I
always look
think it's
like
crazy.
really appealing from the outside.
I haven't played any other than 7. One of the things, by the way, I swear I always talk about 7. People would probably think I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I'm a huge Final Fantasy 7 fan. Never
That's
played
all I
any of
see
the
you
others
tweet
yet.
about.
Yeah, well, because the new one's out and I'm very excited.
Right.
And I wrote a 49-page video essay on it that I was
Wow.
working on because I was like, oh, I'll just make a quick video about my appreciation. And then it became like a meticulous plot analysis.
Nice.
And I was like, I got to stop adding to it. Anyway, where was I going with this? Hold on. I was going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things I will say that I thought was really weird when I was getting into this franchise.
Yeah.
Was so I was playing 7 and they mentioned these race called the Ancients. And I turned to my friend who's played the game, one of my roommates, and I was like, oh, so they must have been in like the previous games. They go, no. He goes, no, they have nothing to do with it. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, 7's not a sequel to 6. They have literally nothing to do with each other. None of the games have anything to do with each other.
Huh.
So they're their own universe, their own story. It's just like, that's it.
Right. I mean, I just don't have any experience with Final Fantasy games. I just like the style of it. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I noticed you like that anime style.
Oh yeah.
I'm dropping viewers as soon as they start talking Final Fantasy 7, I guess. I wonder if that's it, dude. The subscribing thing, I don't know if you got it, but it's really weird. The numbers go up and down so much. It's really weird.
I see for my channel, I keep it pretty consistent with what I post. But like the subscriber count goes up, but the view count on each specific video depends on the topic that I'm talking about on the video.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, getting back to this. So you started getting into comics. What were the first superhero comics you read, though? Because I know, did you start reading the Naruto manga first?
No, I saw it on Toonami first.
Right, but I'm
an
saying
action block on Cartoon Network.
when you started going to manga, did you first start reading Naruto, or did you start reading something different?
Man, I don't think No, I
What
didn't
were the
start with
first
Naruto.
comics or manga you read?
Yeah, I didn't start with Naruto. I started with this. I started with a few comics. There was Beyblade. I read the Beyblade manga. I read this other one called Whistle.
Pokemon is better, by the way.
Oh, Pokemon.
I was always a Pokemon supremacist. I'd be like, someone be like, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd be like, no. I remember there was like this one time, like I was at a sleepaway camp, the Yu-Gi-Oh! People came, and for some reason, I felt like I had to choose. Like other kids in my camp, they like Pokemon too, but they'd also play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I felt like, no.
Oh yeah.
Pokemon. Like I'm
the card
Pokemon
game.
loyalist. Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. I have tons of Pokemon cards. I don't know how to play the game.
Oh yeah.
I make up the rules, but I just kind of ignore things that were said that didn't make sense, or I'd be like make my own interpretations. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So I didn't know Beyblade was manga. That was a toy for it. Well, did they make the manga after the toy?
Well, I mean, they had the toy, the anime, and the manga, and I really got into the manga at first. There was this other one called Whistle that was about soccer, and then another one about this game called Go in Japan. It was called Hikaru no Go. And those were the three that I was really into as a kid. Like we were just going to the library and reading all kinds of books. And yeah, that's where I really started like getting in on the manga side. And then I read more of Naruto later on. I went to all the like pirate sites and would read like all kinds of manga on there.
What? You mean you didn't read it all perfectly legally?
No.
Ridiculous.
Most of it was from the library. Which I always felt like in the back of my mind that it was kind of a similar system where you could check it out from the library and read it for free, or you could read it online for free. But don't quote me on that, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, there's always so much. Speaking of which, I just remembered. So that sparked something that my Marvel Unlimited, I couldn't renew it. It was being really weird. So they're not getting my money right now, but I'll renew it eventually. But it's annoying when there's stuff that's not on the site. It's like sometimes you have to go the back avenues when there's literally no way to read it.
Yeah.
Even Marvel Unlimited, like there'll be like fill-in issues of there'll be issues of X Factor where I'm like, all right, yes, or Marvel Comics Presents, where it's like, I guess there's no other way. I'm not searching my comic shop for this issue. It's not going to be
Right.
there.
Right.
Sometimes you got to do that. So you got into this, and you got into it. You started. What made you start drawing? Did you start writing or drawing first, or was it
I
same
was
time?
Yeah, I was always writing and drawing stories. Like, I would take whatever I saw on Pokemon or on Scooby Doo, and then I'd write my own stories and draw my own
Mhm.
stories and all that. And then try to come up with my own characters. So I was always into the writing and drawing aspect, even before I went into like kindergarten.
That's awesome. So, what were your favorite Pokemon? I gotta ask because I'm a fellow Pokemon fan.
It was any Pokemon that Ash had. So
Ah,
my favorite, I think, of all time would be Sceptile. Like
ooh,
I like that whole tree, like Grovyle, Sceptile.
Trico.
Trico looks kind of like a dick, but I just,
What? Hold
I
on,
leave Trico out of it.
Trico. Oh, I keep forgetting that there's a C in there. How does he? I don't think he looks like a penis. Hold on, let me. And what are you talking? I think you know who does look like he has balls though is what the hell is it? Cast form.
Cast form. Which one was that?
All right, ready? Cast form.
You're gonna
Here we
get
go.
your channel down or something.
No, it's just a Pokemon.
Wow. It's
Like,
either
how do you
boobs or
approve
balls.
that design? Or a butt? It could be a
Yeah.
no. No, I think but the placement makes it. That's a good. It could be boobs.
Yeah, it looks like boobs. Somebody
Why
horny
did I
came up
think?
with
Is
that
there
one.
something wrong with me that I thought balls first? Yeah,
Yes.
probably. It's such a
Yeah,
weird design.
it's like permanently part of the design. In all the other like redrawings, they should have made it 3 to make it look like, a cloud
Not,
more.
yeah, literally any number other than 2 would have been
Yeah.
better. Well, they went with it. The whole team approved of it, and that's the design we're gonna have for all time. And you know
Yep.
what? It's fine by me.
What was the generation on that?
That was Gen 3. And your
Gen 3.
favorite
Okay.
generation was which one?
Oh, Hoenn.
3, right? Owen? Yeah. Mine
Yep.
was 4. 4 is my favorite. I
Oh, Diamond and
love.
Pearl?
Oh yeah, Platinum, baby. Pokemon Platinum.
Platinum. Is
What do we
that
got? Yeah, Platinum is so good, dude. How you doing?
I'm
Dave Brink is great creator, by the way. Everyone check out his stuff. I read Perfect 10.
Oh
Where
yeah,
is
hi
it?
Dave. What's up?
Oh, Dave. Yeah. By the way, someone Doug209 said I don't see these comments in the chat. Well, that's because we're co-streaming right now. That's what happened there. But anyway, yeah, dude, I'm a big Pokemon fan, though. I haven't finished the last one. So who are your favorite artists then?
My favorite artist. I always have them sitting right next to me on my
So
like
who are
on
your
my floor.
favorite artists?
Hold on one sec. I got the stream playing on the other end there. Yeah, let me check.
You have them
You
sitting
still up?
there? They're all waiting.
What? Oh no, I just
I'm just messing with you.
okay, let's see. Oh, I think the comments are combined in our stream, so it's like we can see both from both ends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because some of
Nice.
the comments in here I'm seeing on the other one, so that's cool. But yeah, like Ryan Otley with Invincible, like
I've been
he's
meaning to read that one.
one of my favorites. And then let me see. This guy named Jaime Hernandez. He just draws like really like human characters that it's like they're the actual people. You know what
That's nice. See, that art style almost reminded me of just for a brief second, Charles Burns's. Probably not at all, actually, now that I'm looking at it closely.
Burns.
Actually, not really.
Yeah.
You ever read Black Hole? It's a weird
No, I
one.
haven't read Black Hole, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I read it like almost all at once. I was working on my friend's movie set, and whenever we were in between takes and they were setting up, and there was nothing I could help with, I just read this. It's a pretty simple read. It's really it's a weird book, but it's classic.
Yeah, but then And then one of my others is Terry
Oh,
Moore, who
Terry
does
Moore.
like yeah, Strangers in Paradise. He's
I've heard
great.
that book's great. I've heard that book's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I love his art. I love anything that looks like that has a lot of humanity in it in the art style.
And so, how would you like? What do you think makes art have humanity, in your opinion, as an artist?
Well, when I was watching a lot of anime, they'd have these expressions that were like overblown and exaggerated. But
Hmm.
then when I would read books like Terry Moore's Strangers in Paradise and Love and Rockets, the characters like their expressions were so pared down, like they were very muted, or like they could be expressive, but they would be expressive in a human way,
Right.
like you would see a real person express their emotions. It wouldn't be like that anime overblown style and all that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like. There's some. I think like it's very important for artists to. I always, when I was searching for an artist for my book, I was very much like I want this certain kind of faces I'm going for. I like a certain kind of look. Like I
Right.
like characters that are pretty but expressive is how I like my art, you know?
Yeah.
I think and there's a certain level where it becomes almost too cartoony for well, it depends on the project, right? Like I love some cartoony artists. And also, I mean, again, even in terms of realism, obviously expression is good. Like, look at Sienkiewicz. He can draw super realistic. It's not like he
Mhm.
can't. And I'm pretty sure he started off his career doing that, but eventually he just started going crazy. But
Yeah. Like I think he was
you
really trying
feel
to
something when you look at his
mhm.
art.
Yeah. Like I think he was really trying to ape Neil Adams at the beginning, and
Hmm.
then he grew into his own style that became like what everyone knows as a Sienkiewicz
Oh yeah,
style and all that.
and it's great.
Oh yeah.
It's totally great. He's one of the best, man. Frank Miller too. Frank Miller, I think he's even said in an interview that he doesn't care about his stuff looking pretty. He cares about beauty. Basically, that his stuff like makes you feel something when you look at it. Now, this might be a
Right.
controversial opinion. I think his art is best when inked by someone else, personally.
Oh, Klaus
I know
Janson.
that might, yeah, like Klaus or even Joe when Joe Rubenstein did it in here. Like I
Oh
just
yeah.
think his art is better when inked. I'm not saying it. I like, for example, look, from being honest, I like his Daredevil art better than his Ronin art. I know that
Uh-huh.
might be a controversial. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but you
I
know
don't know.
what? Screw it. I do. I think when Klaus inks, or even there's that one Daredevil issue where Terry Austin inked it. Actually, the
Oh,
last
Terry
issue.
Austin's a maestro, man. He's really
Oh
good.
my god, it's also interesting because I didn't really. The more I read comics, the more I was starting to wonder. Okay, well, I keep seeing the word inker on every issue. What does that mean? How like the how is that an art form? Is it just and you
Mm,
start learning the ins and outs.
right,
And it's really my artist is doing his own inks, but it
right.
is really interesting seeing the different phases in the process. And I really think creating makes you understand. And you do everything, right? You do pencil
Yeah,
and inking, coloring. Do you letter too?
yeah,
And write. So you do everything.
yeah. I have to, and that's one of the things that I learned from doing like from reading web comics because web comic creators they do everything. So I was like, okay, if they're doing everything, I'll do everything. And then a lot of my favorite manga artists, everything is all one vision from one person. They'll have assistants doing backgrounds and all that, but when I was growing up, I just assumed that they were doing all the black and white stuff. They were doing all the lettering and all that. But they do most of the main drawing, and then they'll have like assistants do the background. But still, it's one singular vision.
Mhm. Absolutely. Makes sense. Um, all right, so there we go. So we got that's really interesting. I mean, you have to kind of learn everything. So do you have like certain artists you
Mhm.
pull from for some things and certain artists you pull from for others? Like do you have I want to do this guy's inking style, I want to do this guy's or is it do you view it all as one?
No, I don't view it all as one. I'll definitely like I always split it up in my mind. Like I want to create like big bold movements like Ryan Otley would,
Mhm.
or I want to create like really subtle expressions like Terry Moore or Jaime Hernandez. So I'll split it up like that.
Gotcha. That's dope.
Yep.
That's really cool. Yeah, I do always wonder with that kind of stuff. what people like, and I find that interesting. And when it comes to colors, I remember actually I kind of did this post. Do you prefer like more like rendered colors or more flat? Because I honestly see merit in both. I'd consider doing flat covers for colors for a comic. Actually, I find colors are really important if you use them. If you don't use them, obviously they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I say the really rendered stuff is great for the cover. Um, but for me to save time in creating like the comic, I'll go with like flat
Mhm.
when it's not an important scene, and then ramp it up like with the rendering when it's a more important scene or the first few pages. After reading a lot of like uh French comics in general, like they mostly go with flat, like a flat rendering style for their colors, and it works. Like they just
Mhm.
know exactly which colors to pick to make everything work. So I just try to copy that.
Nice. That's really cool, man. So now, so I've asked you some questions. It seems like I got some of your favorite comics. Did I miss any though? Were there any other favorites of yours that we didn't talk about?
I have plenty of famous favorites, but I don't want to like bog down the stream with
No,
all of
go
them.
ahead. You're not bogging it down. I'm asking you the questions. You're giving me the goods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I also wanted to say like, what's up to Ichthy and Akuma in the chat there.
How you guys doing? Yeah, I'm sorry. I should be doing that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
and smart
yeah,
TRN said or smart RN
yeah.
can tell what you can about the Houston Con meeting some of the best comic artists of this generation in the hotel room. Yeah, tell me about that
Yeah.
before I not to interrupt you.
No, I wasn't on any train of thought, but yeah, that was back in like 2018. And Nick Patera, he invited me out to
I love Nick Patera.
yeah, he's great. He invited me out to what's it called? Yeah, and Shane was there too, I think. He invited me out to Comic Palooza in Houston,
Hmm.
and there I met like Paul Pope, um the guy who does his, I'm blanking on his name, but I met Daniel Warren Johnson, Ryan Otley. Um yeah, there was a lot of heavy hitters at that table. It was Steve Green, I think, yeah, Steve Green, and then Jeff Shaw.
Hmm.
And basically I went back to their hotel room, and we just like all drew, like we were just drawing together, and it
Oh,
was like,
that's so
whoa.
cool.
Yeah, so I was learning a lot, and there were some things that like Ryan Otley told me that didn't come to fruition until like years later. So now like everyone can see publicly what he's actually doing, because
Oh,
I don't know if I can reveal it. I mean, it's something that is already happening or has already happened, where he said he was going back to mainstream comics
hmm.
after Invincible to um gather more fans before going back into doing his own projects and whatnot.
Oh, nice, smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. Building an audience is tough. It's so tough.
Yeah, it's insane. I wish it wasn't that. I wish it wasn't so difficult, because it's like you can't just write and draw. You have to be everything, man. You have to do everything. Like
Dude, I
the
spent all day going through printer stuff. I'm like, why is everything take so long? It's because of that.
yeah,
Takes
it's
so much.
like e- whatever publisher you're going with, they don't promote like they don't promote you like you can promote yourself.
Hmm.
So you have to pretty much do everything at all times, and it starts to wear on you.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. Here, so real quick, speaking of Nick, I got this. Got him to do a little remark right
nice.
here. And I'll get you to sign this one day. I didn't realize you did coloring for a few pages on in this, I know, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, this book was great. Axe Widow John
Oh
was
yeah,
awesome.
oh yeah.
Uh after having let's see, yeah, John, going back to mainstream comics to get fans after having a cartoon seems nuts to me. Uh
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. But I mean, how many of those people I guess go over to comics? I don't know.
right. I
But
mean, this was before the Invincible cartoon came
show,
out.
right? Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense. So let's see now. So we've talked about some of your favorite artists. Well, some of your favorite comics. I'm sorry, we got derailed. What are they?
Oh, some of my favorite comics.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be The Dark Knight Returns for one. Like that.
Mm,
That's definitely one of my
good
favorite
man.
comics.
Good
Yeah.
man.
And then I have most of them just like chilling right here. I already showed you Strangers in Paradise um and Love and Rockets, but I also have let me show you. There's this one called Epicurus the Sage.
Mm-hmm.
It's by this Sam Keith, and I like his he did the Max.
Okay.
And I like his art style because it's so like weird and crazy, and it doesn't make any sense, but it's like it's really cartoony. So I like his style in that. And
That's weird. I never heard of that one.
yeah, but yeah, it's hard for like other comics to come to mind right now. Like we've already talked about a few, like Batman, the Court of Owls was really great. And yeah, I'm just blanking on the other ones that I like.
It's okay. There's always plenty to choose from. What about writers? Any favorite writers?
Writers, man, back in the day, I used to be heavy into Brian Michael Bendis. I know a
Mm,
lot of people say like, oh, he writes too much or he like talks too much in his comics or whatever. But I liked that style growing up, and I read a lot of Powers. So Powers, like the comic book, was great. In terms of other writers, what else? Um, yeah, no others like really come to mind at the moment. It was mostly Brian Michael Bendis. And then I liked Batman Under the Red Hood. That was
oh
really
yeah.
great as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Under the Red Hood is. I haven't read the comic yet. Actually, I think the comic is Under the Hood, but I have Under the Red Hood. That one's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And what? So now, before we get into your comic, I want to ask who are your favorite superheroes?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, Static Shock, Spider-Man, Batman, and Daredevil.
Great picks.
So those are
I
my
need to read some
main.
Static.
Yeah. Oh, I
Very good.
wanted to answer John's question. Yeah, they did have a show called Powers on PlayStation. It was they race swapped the the main girl, and it only lasted like one season. It was kind of okay, you know what I
It
mean?
was a show.
Yeah, they made a show based on the comic.
Huh. I don't think I've seen that. I hear that the show. I hear that the comic is very good.
Yeah, it's really good, but then the show itself was kind of mid. It was just okay.
Okay. It was on PlayStation. What do you mean? It was. How does that
Yeah,
work?
I think back during like PlayStation 3 times, it was a PlayStation exclusive.
So you got the show on PlayStation? Are they trying to make that like a thing, like a PlayStation streaming service?
I guess so. Back in the day, I don't know, but yeah, that's it. That's the show.
That's weird. Yeah, I never. I've heard that Powers is one of the best superhero comics out there.
Yeah, it was really it went for like 13 volumes or more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and 13 volumes. So what is like? How many issues is that? Because volumes can mean a lot of things.
I don't know. It was probably more than. It was about like 5 per volume. So 5 times 13, something like that.
Gotcha. Let's check this out.
16 years ago, a mad gunman devastated the halls of Cobalt High. Now, in a school haunted by the memory of a past massacre, the delinquent son of the school shooter, Eric Vaughn, must take on a new role as a vigilante when his only friend is injured by a mysterious student with superhuman abilities. Outmatched and outnumbered, Eric must face off against a wave of masked enemies tied to his school's dark history. Can Eric become the hero his school needs and undo the sins of his father? He's only got one shot. Don't miss. 90s and early 2000s era cartoon lovers, rejoice. Your comic is here. Take fight with Air Rider High School Hero today. Only on
Kickstarter. Hey, thanks for watching my trailer for Air Rider High School Hero #1. I'm Ken, aka Kami Ken online. I write and draw my own comics and make YouTube videos. I'm obsessed with the untapped emotional potential in storytelling. I feel that comics, manga, and animation have a deeper, underlying, raw emotional potential just waiting to be drawn out to take the medium to the next level. I want to create stories so emotionally charged that they potentially change people's lives. Specifically, I hope to change the lives of the young men who come into contact with my work, who feel lost in the world with no direction. If my comic can give them some momentary relief from the day-to-day grind, then I'll consider it a success. Air Rider #1 is already complete. I just need your help to get it printed. Thank you for being part of this project. So please pledge today. We've got more goods to come, so stay tuned. Peace.
That's awesome, dude.
Appreciate it, man.
There's so much to unpack there. So I have to go back and then open the Kickstarter in another tab because for some reason my PC does this weird thing where it like plays the video without audio on one but doesn't show the campaign on the other. I mean, there's so much to unpack there. Before I address the crazy premise, so first of all I love what you said about escapism and that it just young men that are lost in the world, because that's what superheroes meant to me. You know, when I was a kid, I really needed that. And I think superheroes really brought joy to my life. When we needed an escape from the troubles in the real world, that's where we turn to entertainment. And despite having a very heavy background, it seems like you're really working towards something greater. Now, I do want to ask, one of the things you highlight here is 90s and Y2K comics reborn. So what was so special about those 90s and Y2K comics? And were any of those, and can you give any specifics? I'm sorry, I should have structured this better, but were any, like, aside from what you've mentioned earlier, like what about those comics, that era specifically, are you channeling, and what were your favorites and what did you like about that era?
Well, it's just the general like feeling of nostalgia I get from that era because that's where that's what I grew up on. So it's not just comics from that era. It's like TV shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Teen Titans, Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited.
Yep. Justice League also before.
Yeah, Batman, like the whole Timverse, like Bruce Timm universe of animated cartoons, like all of that I grew up with, and I'm channeling it into Air Rider and trying to make it an experience that people who grew up with that stuff can go back to, and like they'll be like, hey, this looks like something I used to read or watch on TV.
That's dope. Yeah, you want to create something that's familiar, and I think people like that, but also different. I mean, let's talk about the backdrop. I mean, the son of a school shooter becoming a superhero is such a crazy premise. I remember when I first heard it. How did you come up with that?
Man, I was 17 when I came up with that, and I was thinking of the most dark thing that I could possibly come up with. Like,
how old were you again?
17 at the time.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say because middle school I feel like was my edgiest phase.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to come up with the darkest thing I could think of, and I was like, okay, so a school shooter has a son. How does he grow up? Or like the school shooter, he's you know what happens to school shooters at the end of the shooting, like it's done, like it's over. But then how did he have a son? Like the questions started building up in my mind. How did he have a son? What does the son go on to do? He starts off as a bully, delinquent. Like, what does he become? And I felt like the proper thing for him to become is like a hero to undo the damage that his father did to his school.
So that's interesting. So his dad. Okay, so I imagine the character's around 16 then.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's starting, because I was wondering, I was like, is the dad alive and he just lived a normal life? Because I didn't know. Okay, so the dad is gone,
Yeah.
and he has to. That's so interesting, man. And so
Yeah, he
he
basically
has this,
has to
this
deal with the
bad
fallout.
past, and he's trying to become a better person. You're already setting up your character with a chance to fail, and then he has to override it. And I think that's kind of what superheroes are about.
Mhm.
Is I talked about this, actually. I recorded a video that I uploaded earlier today, like a little short, but the idealism. The idea that you could take a tragic past and don't let it define you. And I
Right.
think like you're really doing that. So, because you said you want to do the darkest thing you could think of, but it sounds to me like you're taking it in a brighter direction. Was that your plan?
Yeah, so, like, a lot of manga and anime, they start off with, like, pretty light of a tone. Like, their tone is really light, and then they always have that built-in darkness in the background that they can delve into later in the story. So that's basically how Air Rider starts, and that's why there's all these superhuman characters, so that he has like villains to fight, and that not everything is directly the most dramatic thing that every issue will be going through. So it delves into those deeper subjects later on in the story, but we start off with a lighter tone to pull people in.
Yeah, I know that's okay. So, but you do address it. I get it sounds like at least a little bit, but it's not like the main focus.
Right.
Gotcha. And no messy politics. So, what do you? So, no messy politics. You mean nothing ham-fisted? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, like even though it's like the school shooter thing is the premise, like the background of the story, it doesn't get into the politics or
Right.
the thoughts around that stuff. It's just a part of the story, it's part of the world, but it's not like the specific focus of what's going on. All these characters is just about the characters and the way they're living their life and that kind of thing. It's a character focused story, not focused on trying to sell a message or anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we got this Sonic adventure theme sticker. I like this right here. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I think that's a thing too. Is people think you could technically view anything through a political lens, but it's like that's not really the point. People want an escape, and yeah, I think that's key. I think
I mean, yeah, that's what I try to focus on first and foremost, because that's what most manga do really well, is they focus on that escape aspect so that you can be drawn into the story without having to go immediately back to real life issues. Like
absolutely.
they'll bring you into the story of the characters that they're writing about, that they're dealing with first, and then they can hit you over the head with like the dramatics and all the stuff that happens in the narrative, without ever getting into real world politics or anything, because
Absolutely.
all those topics are very charged. But if you just keep your story about the story itself, what's going on in there, then you have grounds to really uh play with people's emotions.
Yeah, it seems to me like you're not focused on the policies or anything like that. You're focused more on the human effects and the way this could affect people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nick Patera is a good man. He's got all this
Mhm.
right here. Look at that. This looks great. So, are these all covers? What's the deal with is this your main cover, or which one's your main cover? Looks like this one is, right?
Yeah, that's the main cover.
Is that, hang on? That's some Days of Future Past almost looks like. A little bit. Not fully, I guess, because this is here, obviously.
No, I know what cover you're talking about,
Great
where
minds just think alike. I mean, there are
right.
plenty of covers that do that kind of thing. You can't
Mhm.
call them all an homage.
Like if I was gonna do a cover like that, I would go all the way with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, full on homage. Right? You
uh-huh.
wouldn't just do semi homage. That's a
Right.
cool look, though.
Appreciate it.
So when it came to designing this character, so he becomes a superhero. He doesn't have any. Does Air Rider? What are his powers?
He doesn't really have any powers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the only thing that could even be considered a power is that if he's in the air, he doesn't feel any, like say he were to jump off a building, he knows the best way to get down without hurting himself, and he also feels completely calm in the air. So That would be his powers, but they don't come until like a later issue.
Gotcha.
Right now, it's just the origin story.
So he becomes a hero before he starts getting powers?
No, no. Before he gets powers, he's a bully, like, and a delinquent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to start it off with the opposite of what you usually see in these stories, where the main character is like a nerd or whatever, and I wanted to flip it on his head and make him like, well, if he's the son of a school shooter and never had a father, then what would he naturally be?
Gotcha, man. That's such a good premise. And so wait, but he looks like the hero in this issue.
Yeah, at the cover of issue number 1. It's the 8-page backstory, like the 8-page backup story. That's where you see like kind of a pilot issue of 8 pages where you see like what he's like in action and all that.
Okay, but the rest of the issue is what?
The origin story.
Gotcha. That's really cool. And it's 40 pages, you said?
Yeah, it's gonna be 40 pages. The back matter will be some fan art and other like sketches or extra strips that I've done over the years.
That's awesome. Do you have a fan art contest? Do people submit, or is it already chosen?
It's not really a contest. It's just if you happen to draw Air Rider and you want to get in the book, you're in the book. It's not. I didn't want to make it a full blown contest because that would involve like money or like valuable like actual prizes and whatnot. So I was just like, let me just scale it back and not go too ham on that.
That's dope. Everyone check this out. And there's someone was asking about it because it looks like you've got some free chapters 1 and 2 were already made. So this isn't the first issue, or it is, or why don't you clarify that?
Yeah, it is the first issue. Chapter 1 and 2 is already done. I actually have them right here. So like I got issue 2 right here, and then issue 1 right here.
So what is the campaign for? Just to print more of them?
Yeah, the campaign is mainly to print more of number 1. And number 2, I had already printed several convention copies, like copies for conventions, both number 1 and number 2. So I'm selling those off in the campaign, and I'll run number 2 as its own separate campaign with additional pages in the back.
Okay, but you can get number 2 through this book, or no?
You can get number 2 on the convention copy I have with me. You can get that through one of the tiers. It should be the $29 tier.
Gotcha. Otherwise, you can wait till the next campaign.
Yeah, pretty much.
$29.
It might be sold out.
Is it sold out? It's sold out. Good for you, man. Look at you selling out. That's awesome.
Appreciate
you got Star Student. Early birds receive free sticker. So how long does this early bird thing last?
That was before the campaign started. Like anyone who was on the email list, or anyone who was on the what do you call it? The following list for the campaign itself.
All right, so is that because it's still available, it looks like?
The upper tiers get the sticker automatically with the higher tiers. Like I think 25 and up gets the sticker as well.
Is the mailing list thing still active? Because I should have been on your mailing list.
Yeah, you're on the mailing list, and the mailing list thing is always active. It's actually on the page. So if you want to read the first 2 issues, you can read it by signing up for the mailing list on the page. The link is under one of the images.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Everyone make sure to check this book out. It looks incredible. I'm really excited. I can't wait to get this book, honestly. It looks like a really dope story. And is there anything else you want to bring up that maybe we haven't talked about in relation to this book? I think it looks so good, man.
No, I think we've covered pretty much all the bases, man. But yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Video game stuff. I like the Sonic. I like you're really pulling from everything, man. It really does. It really feels unique. It feels like the right amount of familiar and right amount of unique, and I like that.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm trying to pull from everything I liked when I was a kid and trying to put it back out there.
That's dope. And will you be? It looks like we got 18 days left. How did you get Projects We Love? This isn't your first campaign?
This is my first campaign.
So how did you get Projects We Love already?
I'm gonna be honest about Projects We Love. I don't know what it means, and I don't know how to get it.
Okay, that's good. So I'm curious. If I don't get it, I'm gonna throw a temper tantrum. Just be like, this guy got it, and he doesn't even know what it means. Now I don't know what it means either, but I know I want it because I want it. I want my comic to feel loved.
Right. I mean,
thought you had to have had fulfilled a campaign before.
No, I think so what the email said was they appreciated the creativity in the campaign. So it might have been part of the like from the trailer or from the page itself. So yeah, it's a combination of having like a good solid page that they can get behind and a good trailer.
Dope. That's really cool. I'm gonna read. Maybe if I don't get my justice, my special treatment, maybe I will. This book looks great. And how? So now that it's printed, so is it just gonna immediately go right to the printer as soon as this campaign is done?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just gonna add in all the extra pages that need to be added, and then I'll send it out to the printer once that's done.
Perfect. All right. Well, everyone, here it is. Ken's stuff is right here, ready to go. Ken, where can everyone follow you?
Everyone can follow me on X or Twitter at
I know, I still call it Twitter.
Yeah. So
That's
everyone can.
Sorry,
I mean, everyone can find me on like my handles are right underneath my my title on this screen. So you can find me at the Comic-Ken or at Comic-Ken pretty much anywhere on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. What else? Reddit. I'm on Reddit.
Reddit.
Nice. Yeah. And what's that last one? I think that was it. I covered all the bases. But you can also follow my what's it called? My email list. If you go to the campaign, you can find it just underneath. Let me see. Right here. Go back up. Yeah, you can sign up. Oh, a little bit. Yeah. Right there.
What? Click on that. That takes you. Oh. All right, I'm gonna put that in the chat too.
Yeah. So anyone signs up there is part of the flight crew. That's what I call it, the flight crew.
I need a name like the Phenomenovas. I don't know.
No, you got the Rebels. You got Rebel.
Oh, Oasis. Well, Rebels isn't original though. The flight crew. But
who else is using it?
The Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels.
That's a very real rebels probably use that.
Right. Yeah, it would be something. It would have something to do with rebels or like
Phenomenovitiates.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Jesus. Vitiates. Yeah, I'm gonna stick the. There you go. So everyone check that out. Check out Ken on everything. Ken, I'd love to have you back. This is a lot of fun. You got a bit of an audience, man. Looks like you got some loyal fans. It's really weird. The numbers in the stream were pretty good, honestly.
Oh, nice.
And but co-streaming tends to help with that. But yeah, everyone make sure to check this man out. Give him everything you got. And if you haven't already, if you're interested in these teenage superhero books and you want another one, if one isn't enough,
yep,
you got another one here, Phenomenova. And on my way out, I'm going to play the trailer. Tune in for my 50th episode tomorrow. I'll be having, he goes by Star Million on Twitter. He's a guy who promotes everyone. And he's a great guy. And he's going to be my 50th interview tomorrow night at 9 p.m. I might be playing some Final Fantasy VII tonight. We'll see. Rebirth tonight. So keep an eye on that. But most importantly, keep an eye on Phenomenova. Link is going to be in the chat. Let's play the trailer as we head out. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenal. For you, Dad. For you.